Hey, how's it going? Drew here with a new video for you. And in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you my unique screenwriting method for writing cyberpunk short films, or it could work with any short film that you want to write. And let me know if this is you. Like, I found in the past that writing screenplays on the computer is just really hard. When you're starting from zero, you're on the computer, it's just very challenging to get started and to come up with ideas. But ever since I've switched to going old school, and what I mean by that is writing my outlines in my first draft of my screenplay by hand, I find that is a lot easier because I use this really cool notebook that helps me a lot that I don't see any other screenwriter use. And, there's all kinds of techniques, but this one really helps with me. And so I'm very excited to share this with you, this method. So the first thing I do is to immerse yourself in the world. So you want to create a world around your short film, right? Once you do that and you set up the rules and how this world works, what I recommend is to immerse yourself in that world by watching, playing, if you play video games, or reading books that are related to the short film that you're making, right? And I'm not just talking the obvious suspects, right? Like Blade Runner and such. Even the obscure movies and video games can be really, really great source of inspiration. Like, I recently finished playing the Cyberpunk murder mystery video game Observer. And then I finished watching recently Angel Cop. I saw that, I think, on Amazon or on YouTube. And so you can find all kinds of really cool media everywhere. But the idea is to absorb yourself in that and get some really cool creative juices flowing for your short film. And then what I recommend is creating a short little playlist. Take your pick, whether it's Spotify, YouTube Music. And then what I recommend is taking that playlist and going for a walk, because there's just something about going out in nature, whether you're going for a hike, or in my case, with me, I live in a quiet neighborhood, or you could take a long walk on the beach, right? You could do that. And just going and walking, it just helps with the creative juices flowing, especially if you're listening to that playlist. It really, really helps to come up with some ideas on the fly. And then also another thing that helps too, when you're not listening to your playlist that you've made, is just doing boring stuff like washing the dishes. Sometimes you'll be like, oh, this would be a really great scene. And it'll just pop in your head. So the mundane can give you some really cool, juicy ideas. Now it's time to write the outline. So I always recommend starting with an outline. It doesn't need to be super detailed. You may write your outline on a notebook like this. But what I recommend, and the way I do it, is in a notebook like this. Now, this is called the Greg Shorthand Notebook. This is amazing for writing screenplays by hand and shot lists and such like that. I don't know where you can find this notebook at like a Staples or Office Max. Like, you can get the smaller version, which I do not recommend. Do not get the smaller version, get the big one. I got this on Amazon for like $6. Highly recommend it. And the reason for that, as you can see in here, there's a line down the middle, which is very, very handy for writing screenplays. So what I did when I wrote Mindfall Sleeper, and if you haven't seen that video, definitely check that out. The most important thing before I get into how cool this notebook is the most important thing when you're writing your outline, your script by hand, is just get it on the page. Just write your draft. Don't judge it. As you can see, my handwriting, I don't know if you can see this, isn't very pretty. I mean, this is not beautiful stuff. But the idea is to just get it written down so that way you can type it and then import it in your screenwriting software, right? So that is the most important thing. The way I write outlines is very similar to shot list. So you have all the shots right here, and then you have the action. You have the action right here. And that's how I like to write my outlines. And what I really like to do is use what I call a multi-pen. Which is this guy. So you have your different colors that you can use, And this is fantastic. So what I like to do is, and again, you don't have to do this. You can use any colors you want. I am starting with the scene heading, and then in the dark blue, and then I'm going green for the shots that I'm using. And then on the other column, it is action. So that's how I like to do my outlines. And then after I have the outlines done, I write it like you would normally, like in a normal composition notebook, but I use the columns for the dialogue, and I'll show you what I mean by that. So here's a good example right here. So as you can see, I'm using up here on this column right here, that's where the character name is going to be, and on the other column is dialogue. And then when it comes to the slug line right here, as you can see, I'm disregarding that center line, and same with the action. I'm disregarding the center line in the middle of this page. And then when it comes to the dialogue, though, I use that center line for the formatting. And the reason I do this is, as you can see, it's just a lot easier to read, and it's just easier on my brain, especially when I'm typing it up. Writing a screenplay in that notebook is just really, really helpful. And it just to get as much as that first draft written out as possible, right? Like for me, you know, I will have most of the first draft written, and then I feel confident. I'm like, okay, I am ready to import it into my screenwriting software. When you're ready to, you know, digitize what you have written, there's two methods that I recommend. So the first method is speech to text. So you can open Google Docs, get your phone, right? And then you just speak into it. You just read your script that you have written, and you speak into it, right? So that's one way you can do it. The other way is old school, where you just have it, your notebook set up on some sort of stand or what have you, and you just type it. You just read it and type. So you choose. The power is yours. So as far as I'm concerned, you have two options. There's an extension in Google Docs, which essentially when you're writing your screenplay, you click that extension and it will format it perfectly for you. What I personally use is the free screenwriting software known as Kitsynarist. I believe is how you pronounce it. It's Russian free screenwriting software. And why I love it is it's very similar to the old school Celtx software back in the day. So it's very, very similar to that. And it works with all operating systems. So I personally use it the most on Linux, but it works just as well on Windows and Mac OS X. Once you write your screenplay, what I highly recommend is export it as a a doc file first, import it into Google Docs, and use the Grammarly extension in Chrome or Firefox. And what that will do is it will find all the typos. And again, there will be typos, so just deal with it, and then correct those typos. And what I do is I'll correct it in the Google Doc, and then I'll go over on another monitor or on another window. I'll go back to the screenwriting software and I'll correct it in the screenwriting software. And then I'll export that again as a PDF. After you have it as a PDF, what I really, really, recommend, and then this is super useful research tool. So if you want to do a lot of research for your short film, this tool that I'm going to recommend is amazing. And again, this is disclaimer. This isn't AI writing your script for you. What this is NotebookLM. It is very, very powerful AI research tool or writing assistant, however you configure it. It's really, really handy. And so what you can do with it is you can import all your drafts, your character bios, all that good stuff, the research you've done on the story. You can import it all there, and you can talk to it. You can talk to it like a chat. But what's different from NotebookLM compared to ChatGPT or something is it's what's known as a ground sourced, I believe is the term, AI. And what that does is it allows you to, and essentially analyzes whatever you feed into it. And you can ask it any questions on the source material that you've provided, and it will give you very, very detailed analysis on it. And so what I like to do is, after I've set up my digital notebook, a NotebookLM, is I will have it analyze my story, obviously, and mention briefly what my story is about. And then I'll say, I want you to analyze my screenplay, and I want you to give me, tell me what the strengths are and the improvables, and the improvables meaning, the dialogue, the story structure, are there plot holes that need to be fixed, what isn't clear, and it will literally spit out a detailed report. I'm talking detailed report, and have citations from your screenplay, and it will give you detailed analysis on your screenplay, and it's very, very helpful because it's so detailed. And then once it spits that out, you can save it as a note in NotebookLM, and you can export that from there. You can export it to Google Docs or wherever you want. But I don't think this is a substitute for having a human being analyze your screenplay. So you want to do both. You want to have a human being analyze who you trust, a human being who you trust. You want a human being to analyze your screenplay as well. And so that way you are really getting really great feedback that you can use. So that is the method that I personally use to write my screenplays. It's very, very valuable. NotebookLM is fantastic. And another thing that I'm going to mention is once you have your final draft or draft that you're really confident with, there are several screenplay film festivals that you can submit your script to. And even if you don't win anything, they will give you really great feedback on your script. And usually these people on these panels at these festivals, right, they're actual real screenwriters. So you'll get a real screenwriter analyzing your script and giving you detailed feedback on what to improve. So those are the methods that I personally use. I find it very, very helpful. Another great tool is Perplexity. So if you want to research different film festivals and things like that, it's like an AI search engine, essentially. But anyway, that is essentially the video. I really appreciate you guys checking it out. I had a lot of fun writing my last screenplay, so I just wanted to share my process because I really feel like this notebook really does help a lot, and writing it by hand first as much as you can just really helps to brain dump and just extract what's in your brain on the page. And then from there, once you have it in your screenwriting software of choice, you're just editing essentially, and editing is way easier than coming up with something from scratch. But anyway, thank you so much again for checking out this video. If you have not subscribed, please do, and hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching, and as always, stay classy.